a severely injured dog rescued from the streets, and a dedicated rescue team working around the clock to save him. Do you wonder how such an incredible journey of survival and recovery unfolded, and how this once broken dog turned into a loving companion? Stay tuned for today's video on pets in love and find out more. It all began on April 12th, a day that none of us will forget. Magnus, at the time, was barely clinging to life. Imagine this: a dog with his bones sticking out like some kind of skeleton, his skin covered in painful, oozing sores, and his eyes, oh, those eyes, dull with suffering and confusion. He could barely sit up, let alone stand. And when they found him, he weighed just 28 pounds. To put it simply, he was in a bad way. It didn't take long for everyone to realize that if he didn't get help soon, he wouldn't make it. No one knows exactly how long he had been wandering the streets. His past is a mystery, one filled with pain and hardship. But when a group of compassionate people discovered him, they knew something had to be done. They rushed him to a veterinary clinic, knowing that his survival was uncertain, but they couldn't just leave him behind. His chances seemed slim, but they weren't ready to give up on him. Magnus's survival wasn't a guarantee. In the first few days, it was a race against time to get him stable. The veterinary team worked tirelessly to treat his infections, get him hydrated, and bring his body temperature under control. Each hour felt like a battle, and any small improvement felt like a victory. But despite the best efforts, it was clear that he had a long road. While the medical care was essential, what really stood out was how the veterinary team treated Magnus with such kindness and tenderness. They could see that despite his painful condition, he was still a dog who craved love and attention. The nurses and veterinarians would talk to him softly as they worked, petting him gently and reassuring him that he was safe. It was clear that he had been through so much trauma, but you could see in his eyes that, as much as he was in pain, he still trusted people. Even though he was weak and in obvious discomfort, Magnus showed signs of affection. He would wag his tail weakly when someone came close, and his eyes, though clouded with confusion and pain, would brighten just a little when he was offered a gentle touch. The staff couldn't help but get attached to him. Day passed. The clinic became a place of healing, not just physically, but emotionally. Magnus was never alone during his time at the vet. Slowly, Magnus began to gain strength. He put on a little weight, and soon he was able to stand. His body was still fragile, and his skin was in rough shape. But he was moving forward. By the end of the first week, Magnus had gained 7 pounds. His fur began to grow back, his once bare skin slowly healing. As Magnus continued to recover, the vet team decided it was time for another round of checkups to see how he was progressing. They took some x-rays, nothing too unusual, just a routine thing to make sure everything was healing properly. But when the results came in, it was like the air in the room got sucked out. There, right inside his leg, was a pellet. Everyone stopped for a moment, just staring at the x-ray, trying to process what they were seeing. It was so unexpected. "Wait a minute, is that?" one of the vets murmured, squinting at the screen. Another vet leaned in closer. "Yeah, that's definitely a pellet. Someone shot him." It was hard to believe. Magnus hadn't shown any signs of pain or discomfort. He'd been walking around fine, wagging his tail like he didn't have a care in the world. His sweet, trusting nature hadn't changed at all. And honestly, he acted like he didn't even know that something had been lodged in his leg. He was still the same happy dog, eager for attention and snuggles. "How is he even walking?" someone asked, shaking their head in disbelief. "I have no idea," the lead vet responded, still processing the fact that a dog who'd been through so much could carry on without showing much pain. It's like he's just ignoring it. There was a moment of silence as the reality of the situation set in. "Poor guy," the vet added quietly. "He's been through more than we realized." The team all exchanged glances, thinking about what Magnus had already been through. Surviving on the streets, his frail body, the infection, the malnutrition, and now this. But Magnus, oblivious to the discovery, was just happily wagging his tail as if nothing had changed. He wasn't scared, he wasn't withdrawn, he just wanted some pets. His eyes were still full of affection, and that tail of his was wagging like crazy as the team gathered around him. "Look at him, still so sweet," one of the technicians said with a smile. "It's incredible." They all agreed. Despite everything Magnus had endured, he was still loving and trusting. It was hard not to fall in love with him all over again. But of course, they couldn't leave that pellet in his leg. It needed to be removed to prevent any future issues. "I guess we have another surgery in our future," the vet said, sighing. "But we'll do it. He's a tough little guy." Magnus, as if he understood, gave a soft woof and leaned into the vet's hand, just happy to be near someone. It was like he was saying, "I trust you." So, they scheduled the surgery to remove the pellet. And while no one liked the idea of putting him under anesthesia again, it was the right thing to do. Magnus was going to get through this too, just like he'd gotten through everything else. Magnus handled the surgery like a champ. He went under anesthesia without any fuss, and the team carefully removed the pellet. The procedure went smoothly, and soon, Magnus was waking up from the anesthesia, ready to continue his recovery. After the surgery, he was a little groggy, but he bounced back quickly, as if showing the world he wasn't going to let anything stop him. As the days passed, Magnus continued to heal. His energy picked up, and he looked like he was getting stronger. But just when things seemed to be improving, another problem popped up. Magnus started limping on his other front leg. At first, it seemed like a minor issue, but the X-rays revealed something even more troubling. He had fractures in his leg and elbow dysplasia in the other. It was clear now that Magnus had been through a lot more than anyone had realized. His injuries weren't just from neglect. They were from pain he had been dealing with for a long time. But even after all of that, Magnus still kept going, still trusting people, still showing love. The vet team decided that another surgery was needed to fix his legs and give him the best chance for a pain-free life. It wasn't an easy decision, but it was the right one. And just like the surgery to remove the pellet, Magnus handled this next step with the same calm, trusting attitude. He was a fighter, and with every surgery and every challenge, he only seemed to grow stronger. By the time Magnus had fully recovered, he was almost unrecognizable. His transformation was nothing short of miraculous. His sweet, affectionate nature had never changed, and he was ready for a new chapter in his life. One day, a family from Canada reached out. They had been following Magnus's journey, and after seeing his transformation, they knew they were the right family for him. They were looking for a dog who needed a second chance, and Magnus had certainly earned one. They had a spacious home, a big backyard, and a deep love for animals. It seemed like a perfect match. When Magnus met them for the first time, it was like love at first sight. The family was immediately taken by his sweet nature and gentle demeanor. Magnus, for his part, was all tail wags and gentle nudges, eager for pets and attention. It was as if he had been waiting for this moment his whole life, waiting for the family that would love him unconditionally. One of the kids bent down to pet him, and Magnus immediately rested his head on their lap, his eyes closing in contentment. It was like he had found his safe place at last. The family knew without a doubt that this was their dog. "We knew he was the one the moment we met him," the mother said, smiling through tears. "He's so gentle, so loving. He's been through so much, but he still trusts us. We can't wait to give him the life he deserves." And just like that, the adoption was set. Magnus would soon be leaving the clinic, heading to his new family in Canada, where he would experience a life full of love, joy, and comfort. Everything he had missed for so long. The day of the adoption was emotional. The staff at the clinic gathered to say goodbye, giving Magnus one last round of hugs and kisses. It was hard to watch him go, but at the same time, there was a sense of peace. They knew he was going to the best possible home. It wasn't goodbye, it was see you later. Magnus's journey was just beginning, and they knew he would never be alone again. As Magnus climbed into the car with his new family, his tail wagging furiously, it was clear that he was ready for this new chapter. The road ahead was full of promise. No more suffering, no more fear. Just love, security, and the chance to live the life he had always deserved. The journey from the streets to a warm, loving home was complete. Magnus had found his forever family, and they had found their forever friend. It was a beautiful, happy ending, one that everyone who had followed his story had been hoping for. Magnus, the dog who had survived it all, was now living his best life. And for the first time, he knew what it felt like to be truly loved. And just like that, Magnus's journey came full circle. From a life of pain and suffering to a loving family who would cherish him forever. It's a reminder that no matter how broken we may seem, there's always hope for a new beginning. And with the right care and love, healing is possible. We are so happy to see Magnus thriving in his new home, surrounded by the warmth and affection he deserves. He truly is a survivor. What do you think of Magnus's incredible transformation? Do you believe that love really can heal even the deepest wounds? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for being part of this journey. If you find our video interesting, please give it a big thumbs up and share it with others. Finally, don't forget to turn on our bell and subscribe to our channel Pets in Love so you don't miss any of our new videos. Thank you for your support. Wishing you all peace, happiness. Take care, and we'll see you in the next one.